What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series, the Acolyte wave of figures. So we have 6 figures here to look at today, all from the Acolyte series, which of course was a series that I personally enjoyed. I thought it was a fun show, but I know a lot of people did, and of course they just announced its cancellation recently, so we won't be getting much more storyline of these characters, unfortunately. But first off, we have Soul, which was like our main Jedi from the series. He looks good, especially like a lot of these likenesses. I think they did a really good job on. So we have Soul, as well as Jedi Master Indara and Jedi Knight Yord Fandar. Those 3 all look really good. And behind them we have our younger characters of the show, starting with Jecki, which was a character I liked, especially played by Daphne Keene, so it was really nice to get her in a figure. And then we have our 2 twins, the main characters of the show, of Osha and May. So our 2 twin sisters played by the same actors, look good there for them. So of these 6 figures to look at today, of course we have a lot of Jedi, so not going to be a whole lot of interesting, just them in a lot of very similar outfits and all with lightsabers of different colors. So we have that to look forward to as well. So let me get these open out of the box and we'll take a look at them together. So let's start off with Jedi Master Soul, and I won't go into too much detail on their story, and I will for May and Osha, but for all the Jedis, don't really go too much detail, just that we learned that he was the master of Osha, and currently is the master of Jecki. But he looks cool here, looks pretty nice, of course portrayed by Lee Jung-jae, which looks pretty decent overall. Like in real life, the face looks really good through the camera here. To me, it looks off and doesn't look nearly as good, but in real life, it looks really good, and they did a really good job portraying his face. Probably, of course, having the actor, they probably got it scanned and everything, so the likeness is there quite a bit, with his longer black hair sort of pulled up there, with at least the top part of his hair pulled back into a little ponytail design. So that looks good. And then we get the Jedi robes. Now this is set a part of the New Republic, so we'll have a lot of the characters wearing more of like these yellow colors, so that's pretty nice. That, I mean, they're all not all matching, but they have a lot of similarities to it. But of course we have the Jedi robe on over the top, so the brown robe, which of course as usual I'm having issues with. It's just way too big and bulky, hangs down way too much on him, takes up too much space, and I can't really get it to sit to look nice on him, so we'll probably take that off. Which kind of stings because I think, like, for him, we see him most of the time wearing the robe, so I kind of want to keep it on him. But like I said, it just doesn't look good enough, so I don't like having that. But with that off, though, we can see more of his body. And of course, for movements, we'll see it better. So there we can see more of, like, his yellow tunic or whatever it is over the top, with more of, like, a tannish cream color underneath and a darker brown sort of wrap there around his neck. Has the belt, looks like all the other Jedis we've had in the past have, so, but a little bit thicker, though, with the normal brown and darker brown on that side. A little, like, gold buckle there, and some just little things. It almost looks like a little flashlight, some pockets going all the way around there. Looks nice. And it is weird that he has like these gauntlets on, so it's like these almost like this gold sort of color, like bracers or something there that go down to his hand and on his forearm. So that's pretty nice. Nice detail that was hidden by the robes with what looks like to be some dark brown. I can't tell if it's brown or black sort of gloves on his hand. Of course, the tunic design's hanging down in front like a skirting, but then he has some brown pants on all the way to like the boots that have like a maroonish sort of tint to them, so it's like a darker red, close to brown collar boot designs we've seen with other characters before as well. So nothing really out of the ordinary there. So overall, he just looks pretty decent. It's just going to get boring with the Jedis because they all, besides, each character design outfit's going to have relatively similar designs. But for movements, the head will twist all the way around, and he can look down that far and up that far. So again, not a whole lot of range because it's on a dumbbell joint up in the head. So the really only move, it seems to be at the lower neck here. Some moves back and forth, and of course the upper joint allows it to twist and stuff. So not a whole lot of range, unfortunately, in the head there. But the shoulders do come up to 90 and will rotate around. Oh, and he also does have a butterfly joint. I always forget about that. Then you get the single elbow joints that bend to 90 with the rotation. The wrist will twist all the way around and has the hinge. Looks like up and down for this hand, which is nice for his lightsaber hand. Then we should get a crunch probably down at the waist, hidden behind this belt. So yeah, crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. Then we go down to the hips. That can come up. Of course, got to get the skirting piece out of the way, but it can come up that high and out to the side. We get a thigh twist all the way around. The single knee joint that bends back to 90 with the rotation, and then the boots will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So of course, as the standard Star Wars, nothing out of the ordinary, but has the single knees and elbows there, just the single crunch and twist at the waist and stuff. So not a whole lot of range for him, unfortunately, but that's the reality of the Star Wars figures nowadays, so nothing really surprising there. And besides his robe, the only extra accessory comes with is his lightsaber. So we get his blue bladed lightsaber, which looks pretty nice. So we can put this into his hand. So there, he's got his lightsaber as well. And of course, I always don't like dealing with lightsabers because I never know how to pose them up. But there, we just got him with his lightsaber there. So that looks pretty nice there. Like I said, I'd probably prefer him with the robe just because that's how more we see him. But I'll just have to mess around with this robe to get it to look nice on him, unfortunately. But overall, he looks pretty good, and it looks like he does in the show. Like I said, the face likeness in real life looks really good. So they did a good job with Soul. And next up, we have Jedi Master Indara, which was portrayed by Carrie-Anne Moss, which was quite surprising for her being in the show. But as we saw, she died off pretty early. Of course, we did get her in flashbacks and everything, but it was quite surprised she died in the first episode. But I thought she was pretty fun, and overall looks pretty good here, especially again her likeness. They did a really good job. Looks almost just like her, with her hair pulled back into like the little bun designs or whatever, but with the hair sort of hanging down to the side. She does have the little, like, I think they're tattoo markings there, like on the side of her face, the two little dots there, like she had in the show, so that's pretty nice. And then of course we get her Jedi robe, so she has this more just like brown color, a little bit of like red tint into it, and then just a bunch of cream color design. Of course we'll take her robe off as well for her whole outfit, so not a whole lot of browns and stuff going on since she was kind of out when we saw her. So she has, like I said, this cream colors, but has some like yellowish sort of dirty design on her shirt there, but nice cream color pants that look clean, belt around her waist, so very similar to what Soul had, just in a different design and all that. And then she has, at least on this one hand, a little bit of covering there on her hand, so she has that. And then we can go down to her boots, so pretty similar color to what Soul had for boots, and very similar design, just more for a female. Looks pretty decent overall. Again, I like the robes on her, and that's how we mostly saw her in the show, so probably want those robes on her once again. I just wish they would look better. But for movements, the head will twist all the way around. She can look down that far and up that far. Again, not a whole lot of range, unfortunately, with the way the neck's designed. Then we can go to the shoulders out to 90 with the butterfly back and forth. Pretty good there. And rotate around. We get the single elbow joint to 90 with the rotation. The wrist will twist all the way around and should have a hinge. It's hard to tell, but I do think it is an up and down crunch. They can't really get it to move, but I think that's what's going on. Then we get her ab crunch, so again, just down at the waist, crunch back and forth, and we'll twist all the way around. Then the hips will come up to 90, out to the side. No real thigh twist, just a little bit of twist at the actual joint there. It'll twist, but no actual thigh twist, with the single knee joint that bends back to 90 with rotation. And then we get the foot that'll rock back and forth and twist side to side. So again, relatively slimmer movements, just no thigh twist for her, unfortunately. But overall, she looks good and works out nice. But again, she comes with the robe and then her lightsaber, which is a green lightsaber. That has a pretty nice hilt design. It has some of this color. I think it's like a gold. It looks almost, of course, like an orangish bronze on here, but I think it's supposed to be gold in real life, but looks good with the rest of the silver. So let's put this in her hand. So there she has the lightsaber. Of course, I still don't know how to pose them up, so just put it in her hand like that and got the robe back on. But as you see, the robe just sits on, hangs off them way too much. It's like they have their older siblings' clothes on or something. They're just way too baggy for them. That's why I don't like it. But like I said, the figure itself looks good. Like the design, pulls off the look like she did in the show. Just wish these robes could work out better. And next up, we have Jedi Knight Yord Fandar, who we learned befriended Osha when they were both Padawans in the Jedi Academy. But now all grown up, we see him here, portrayed by Charlie Barnett, which I think the likeness is decent. Like, I don't think it's horrible, but I feel his is like the worst out of all the figures. So it's not the best, but it still looks pretty nice overall for him, and a character I enjoyed. So he has, of course, the robes on, very similar to Soul, so it has the yellow designs. Of course, the brown Jedi robe over the top, but underneath has the outfit with the yellow. And again, we take that robe off, so we get the yellow tunic over the top with more of like the cream color, although it has more of a yellow tint to it, with some darker brown around his neck. Of course, similar belt design to Soul, just a little bit of difference there, but even has the guards on his hands as well, which looks pretty nice. And of course, his tunic seems to hang down a bit further. And then he has some brown pants on with darker brown boots, a little bit different design to those boots, so not the exact same repeat as Soul. And like I said, the face overall itself looks pretty nice. Love how he has like his little dreaded hair, whatever. They're sort of swept to the side. They did a good job with that overall. Like I said, just I feel the likeness isn't fully there. But for his movements, his head will twist all the way around, look down the far and up the far again, not good movements. Shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly joint and rotate around. We get the single elbow joint with rotation. The wrist will twist around and hinge up and down again. Then we go to his crunch, so at the waist, crunch back and forth and twist all the way around. Hips will come up, of course, got to get all the skirting out of the way, but his hips should be able to come up to 90 and out to the side there. He has the thigh twist all the way around. The single knee joint that bends back to 90 with the rotation. He actually has a shin twist. I don't think it twists all the way around, but at least some sort of shin twist at the top of his boot. And the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So the same movements pretty much once again, so nothing out of the ordinary for him. One thing that is different about him is he comes with a lightsaber, but it has a yellow blade this time, which looks pretty nice with his lightsaber hilt there and his yellow blade. So let's put the robe back on him and give him the lightsaber. Now, I didn't notice in the show if he was, but I went in and put the lightsaber in his left hand because his left hand does have a hinge up and down as well, so it would work as a weapon hand. So I went and just gave him that, making him left-handed, and it once again looks pretty decent. Like I said, likeness could be a little bit better, and of course the robe once again, but everything else about him looks really nice. And next up we have Padawan Jecki, which is really cool. She was one of my favorite characters from the show. Now she's a Thelian human hybrid, which if you don't know what that is, there's one of them that's a singer in Jabba's palace. And I'll put a picture up so you can see what that is. So that's what she would look like when she grows up. And of course in the show we find out she's now the Padawan of Soul and looks pretty good here. Now she was portrayed by Daphne Keane, which if you didn't know was X-23 in Logan and of course more recently Deadpool and Wolverine. So really cool to have her. She has all this makeup and stuff on so it's hard to see, but I feel like with this figure and especially in the show as well, if you like really look into her face, like with her eyes and nose and stuff, you can see her in there. So I think even with this figure they did a good job pulling off the face because I can see Daphne Keane in there, so that's really cool. But she has this hair design that's sort of like flattened down, almost like a mullet design. Now if you saw the lady from Jabba's palace, her hair's like all sort of poofed up, so that's probably what her hair would look like. But I love like the orange on the sides with like the leopard spots or whatever there, and the horns as well, like going around her head. So all sorts of crazy stuff going on there face wise with the all white face, but with like pinkish sort of circles there on the side as well. And of course she has her Padawan braid coming there to the front, and then of course she has the High Republic robes on as well, so the yellow over the top with again the more yellowish sort of cream color and brown around her neck, but similar belt on, a little bit different design but similar overall with the brown robes over the top of that we can take off. Now, of course, in the show, we do see her quite a bit without the robe, so we can take them off, but we also see her with it, so you can do either way with her, and you can see some of her skin tone coming down with her hands as well, so white skin, but with that orange leopard design, some tan color pants going into the brown boots as well, and of course, she is shorter, so when we have all the figures in, you'll see that she is shorter than all the other characters. But once again, for movements, the head will twist around, so you can get it to twist pretty much all the way around there. Look down the far and up the far. Again, very little movements in the neck. Shoulders can come up to 90 with the butterfly, a little bit back and forth, and rotate around. We get the single elbow joint that bends to 90 with rotation, and the wrist will twist around. And again, with the deep sleeve, it's hard to tell, but yeah, it looks like she has an up and down hinge for that hand. And then we get the crunch at the waist, so crunch back and forth and twist around. Get the legs that'll come up. I can get them that far, so not all the way up to 90, but not far off, and out to the side. Again, no real thigh twist, just at the hip will move a little bit back and forth. Then we get the single knee joint back to 90 with rotation, and a shin twist at the top of the boot, so she has a full shin twist there, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements once again, but pretty similar to all the others, so nothing surprising there. And then of course we get her lightsaber of a green lightsaber, and there's what her hilt looks like. Looks pretty nice overall, so we can give this to her. So there, Jecki has that lightsaber and looks pretty good overall for her. Like I said, one of my favorite characters from the show, so really cool to get her in a figure. And then finally moving over to our main characters, we've got Osha, or Verosha Anastasia. She was created by her mother using the Force with a Virgins, along with her twin sister May. But of course we see events that happen and she gets taken by Soul and trained as a Jedi, but ends up leaving due to her feelings of her lost loved ones. And at the beginning of the series we see her working as a mechanic or a mechanic, and we see her working on a Trade Federation ship, so that explains her outfit here and the items she comes with. So it looks pretty good overall. Again, I think the likeness is pretty decent. I don't think it's not 100%, but still pretty good. Of Amanda Stenberg, looks pretty good for that face there. I love like her dreaded hair. They don't really pull off the colors too much, where it tends to go more to like a purplish or sort of pink. It is there, it's just really light on the end of her hair, but I think the design they pulled off pretty decently there. Then we get her mechanic outfit, so she has this jumpsuit on. Looks like a grayish green sort of color, like a dark green, has a little bit of gray sort of tint. It's hard for me to tell exactly what's going on, but it has this like cream color vest on over the top, so it has some sort of mechanic stuff there on her chest. A little strap piece coming around the side here for one of her accessories. She has some gloves on there, some fingerless gloves, belt around the waist with a pocket here that of course we can put Pip into, and the jumpsuit continues down to the boots there on her feet. I love how she has the steel tips on them as well, so looks pretty decent overall for this design. Of course she had different outfits throughout the show. I don't really know which ones like could be the most iconic to have her in differently. Like, wouldn't say this one, but like I said, it's hard to really tell which one to pick, so I guess just going how she first appeared is fine. But then we get her movements, so her head will twist all the way around. She can look down that far and up that far. Seems like she has a little bit better movements than all the figures so far. The shoulders can come up, not all the way to 90 though, because she does have like these shorter pads on her shoulders. She just comes to a point, so you only really go up to 45 there, unfortunately. But it does have a butterfly joint, which is crazy as well. And we'll rotate around. We get the single elbow joint to 90 with rotation. We get the wrist that'll twist around, and it looks like it's on that newer like ball joint design, so it can sort of twist around and go wherever, but there's not a whole lot of room, so you just get a little bit of movement back and forth and up and down there. So it's got the newer joints that are like, but it doesn't really work out the best. Then we go to her ab crunch. So again, feels like it's right by her belt, so just a little bit of crunch back and forth and can twist all the way around. Then the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. No thigh twist, again, just at the hip there. The single knee joint back to 90 with rotation. Shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So pretty decent movement. She's, pretty much similar like to all the others, just joints seem to be in a little different places and everything. And then she has that newer hand joint. But like I said, unfortunately, with the way hers is designed, it doesn't really work out the best. But overall, it's still a nice looking figure. Now for accessories, we do get a backpack we can put on her. So we get this backpack design. Now it does have like little, like a big like flat pocket and all sorts of little details on it. A drink canister over here on the side. So nice little details. But there's the bag on her back now. So she has that to carry around. Then I already mentioned it, but we get Pip, which is a little repair droid that of course she has for being a mechanic, and we see it does all sorts of functions in the show. So we get the little Pip droid here, which looks pretty nice. So we can put this down in the pocket. So that's as far down as Pip will fit in, so you can't like get the flap down or anything. It just kind of sits like that. But I forgot to point out as well, the head does have some movement. So Pip's little head design is always moving around and stuff, and it has movements, which is pretty nice. So there we get Pip down in there. But Pip also can transform into different things, like I said. So I believe this is in its welding mode. So I believe this is supposed to be a welder at the end, so it can transform into this as well. So we can put that into her hand. So there she can have Pip in welding mode working on something. And finally, she comes with a stun blaster as well, so we see her use that throughout the show sometimes. So we get the stun blaster, and this can fit in this little sash she has. So there's the gun and the little sash. Obviously, we can put that into her hand as well, but you can just sort of plug it in there for storage, so she always has that with her. So overall, Osha looks pretty good here. I like the design thing. Like I said, they did a good job with her, giving her the tools of Pip and all that sort of stuff, so really nice to have her. And we have our twin sister and final character of May, or Mayho Anastasia, who was believed to have died down a mine shaft, but she actually survived and would become the apprentice to the mysterious master, who gave her a quest to hunt down the Jedi involved in the destruction of her coven. So she looks good here, of course played by the same actress of Amanda Sandberg, so we can actually bring them in together face-wise and see how close they are. It's weird how like the faces do actually look different, but they are the exact same actors, so they should have just reused the exact same face. But like on Osha, she's got like more of a flat paint on her face, where May has more of a shiny face, so that's kind of weird, but overall looks pretty good. Now this is in her assassin mode, again how we see her in like the first episode. So she has this like purple robed hood and stuff on her to hide her identity, with like this chest plate on, so with like this orange color and looks like metal and stuff sort of protecting her. Belt around the waist with like skirting material, so we have like this material hanging off, but then also have like this chain material hanging off the side as well. Wrappings all the way down her arms, looks like some chainmail almost up there towards the upper arms, and then the leather wrappings all the way down to her hands. And then we get black pants on the legs and black boots there, but overall looks relatively nice for her assassin mode. And of course we get some accessories to go along with that, but like all the others, we can take the robot just to see it a little bit better. And one thing we see with that is that she has much longer hair, so again that's one way to tell the difference between May and Osha, is the length of her hair, of course until later in the series when she cuts her hair off. But overall looks pretty nice, and as we see here, she does have like sort of like materials around her neck, probably for her scarf she pulls up in front of her face, that is part of the accessories. But then we can see more of her skirting there as well and everything, and overall looks pretty good for her. A nice representation of the assassin version of May. But for movements, the head will twist around, of course. Yeah, it actually will twist all the way around. Honestly, I'm surprised, because the hair it shouldn't, but it does. And look down that far and then up again. Her hair won't let her look back anymore. But yeah, pretty nice movements. Again, better than most of the other characters. Shoulders can come up to 90 with a little bit of a butterfly in there and rotate around. Get the single elbow joint to 90 with rotation. Wrist will twist all the way around and hinge up and down. Then we get the ab crunch. So she actually has like an upper ab crunch. It looks like, yeah, so over her chest, so crunch back and forth. And a little bit, yeah, can twist all the way around there. Then we go down to the legs that'll come up to 90 and out to the side. Not far from doing the splits. It seems like the length will go out. Of course, can't get this other leg out, but this leg does go out pretty much all the way to 90 there. No thigh twist, but again, we'll twist just at the hip joint. But the single knee joint will bend back to 90 with rotation. A shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So decent movements. Once again, of course, a little bit inhibited by that dress design, but overall looks nice and works out pretty good as well. Now, accessorized, we do get a face covering for her, so she does cover most of her face. So with this, we can put around her neck. We'll have to pop her head off to get it slid on over, and then of course take the piece already around her neck, which is just this, pulled up around her face. So we got to take that off as well. So there she is in full assassin mode. Went ahead and put the hood back on her as well. Looks pretty decent. The face covering doesn't sit perfectly on her face and kind of sits weird just really on the body itself, but it does work there and cover up most of her face. And then finally we do get some weapons. So of course we see her fighting in the first episode against Indara in this outfit, and she uses these little knives, almost like kunai knives, so little throwing knives as well. So we get 4 of these included with her that we can put in. I assume we can put them in her hands, but I don't know how small they are, how well they'll fit in her hands. So of course it's hard to really get her posed up holding those little knives, but there I just tried my best. Of course her hood and everything doesn't want to sit on the best, but still looks pretty decent overall, like the design, and looks like her assassin's form. So I think they did a good job carrying out that look. Well, that's gonna be it for our Star Wars Black Series Acolyte figures. Not the most interesting characters, because I like more like alien-like species and not just human-looking characters. So the only one we get is Jecki that matches that. The rest are all just human-looking, so not as interesting, but still pretty decent figures. Loved all the Jedi of Sol, Indara, Yord, and Jecki, and then of course our twin sisters of Osha and May. All are pretty decent and nice additions to the collection. Like I said, for me though, I did enjoy the show, so I liked a lot of these characters and would like having them in figure form. So it's nice we at least got these. I know there's at least a couple more figures coming from the show, but since it was canceled, I doubt we'll get too many more beyond that. But for what we have here, pretty decent and nice starting out way for the Acolyte series. But let me know what you thought of these figures down in the comments, and if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.